Rock Tuesday.
One, two, three.
Hey y'all, what's happening? That's right, we back again. 2 on the west, 5 on the east. Thank you for tapping in. Tammy's back, as you know that she just can't stop. Showing you just how those real girls rock. Back like we never left. Keeping it real. Still, you know that shit. Real girls, they rock. You know they do. The real girls rock and the real men too. Yeah. Yo, Tammy, you ready? Welcome back. Yeah.
Yes. Won't he do it? Hey. Happy Real Girls Rock Tuesday. Hope everyone is having an amazing Tuesday. When I tell you, I'm in trouble, but have no fear. Tabby Faye is here. Just want to say happy Tuesday to everyone. Hope you have an amazing Tuesday. You know, we always tap in, and I do my Tuesday to Tuesday. My girl is not feeling her best, but I will not complain. We're going to get this show on the road. I have some amazing people that we're going to talk to on today. But as far as my Tuesday, it was great. It was great. You know, little bumps in the road, but listen, we're going to keep on pushing and we're going to push through and won't stop, can't stop, right? So today, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about marriage, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. If you are married, me up so we can have this conversation. So I do because she has been married as well. And these are all married couples, right? And they're married. And I just want to hear from really y'all. I like to hear from men's point of view all the time to see how the marriages really work and everything and how everything is going or whatever. But you know, y'all know a lot of things happen last week from Tuesday to Tuesday for me. I've been on a hunt trying to find me somewhere to live. Like when I tell you, y'all, it is bananas out here. It is still bananas out here. But I know that I do have a gentleman backstage. His name is Eric Glaze. And I would like to see if Mr. Glaze can come into the room and welcome the Real Girls Rock.
Hey, how you doing, Tammy? How you ladies doing? Well, how's everyone doing?
Uh-oh. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I know when people be having Androids, their phones don't be working. You be texting them stuff and their phones just don't work. Hey, welcome, Mr. Glaze. How you doing on this amazing Tuesday?
I am blessed. I am blessed. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So, as you know, I am Tammy Faye. Y'all, this is Mr. Glaze. Mr. Glaze, if you don't mind me calling you Mr. Glaze, how long have you been married?
We've been married. It'll be 5 years in May.
5 years. So, is this your first marriage?
No, and that's what I was going to say. With full transparency, this is my third marriage. This is my third marriage. I think you froze.
I didn't hear you. My phone is freezing.
Yeah.
I am frozen. Why? Why am I frozen?
No,
Okay,
I
I'm
was
going
saying
to
this is
live
my
into that.
third marriage.
Hold on. Did I hear three?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You heard three, and then you froze again.
I'm gonna see what we can do and get Tammy straight and all in those lines. I know that a lot of folks are trying to figure out what's going on with Real Girls Rock, and hopefully Tammy will be joining us in a minute. I'm going to also bring in Ronald Smooth Lot and find out where he's from while we're having this conversation. And then I think Brandy might be joining us as well. Now, I've been the fortunate one, or at least some folks would say I've been the fortunate one. I've hit at 60 and having not dealt with that marriage thing as of yet, and everything doesn't mean that it won't happen in the late age. Maybe I'll find me a person in the same age range or somebody that is younger. Only time and destiny will tell that and everything. But I did hear you, Mr. Glaze, say that this was your third time around. And as I was trying to put in the chat, even though it came up all kinds of convoluted in what the message was saying and everything, but I have never been married, don't have any kids of my own, but I do have 2 nephews, and my younger brother has been engaged. I think this is his 4th engagement, and if he and Miss Celia ever decide to get married, that'll be the 3rd. So I can definitely relate to that notion of 3 marriages and all in that space. The first one was his college sweetheart. They met in college and definitely got together in college. The second one, which is the mother of my 2 nephews, they met after college and had a nice long relationship and all in that space, and did give me those 2 nephews who are actually now getting much too old, much too fast, because they're like 13 and 14. I'm thinking like, I remember when they were young ones and they were babies, and now I'm sitting there going like, who are these young men and how did they get to be so tall, even taller than I am and everything, and when did that happen and all in that space. And then, like I said, he is doing that blended family, the kind of like Brady Bunch version with the 3rd and hopefully the final one, because he's got the 2 kids and they shared custody. And then, of course, Miss Celia, his fiance, has 2 kids as well. One of the kids is in college. That's right. She's still in college. She hasn't graduated yet. And the other one is in high school, if I'm remembering where Jackson's situation is and all in that line. But I'm just wondering, and I'm going to bring Tammy back because I just came on to try to give a little bit of a relief and everything, is how did that work in your own lane? I just gave a little bit of the narrative of what has happened with my younger brother and everything, but definitely you said this is your 3rd time around. Is the 3rd time around the charm?
Yeah, I would say the 3rd time around is the charm, but I would also say that like your brother, it kind of depends on when you get started. My first one was to my high school sweetheart. My second one was to a young lady that I met while I was in the Army. And the 3rd one was a beautiful young lady that I met once I retired from the Army. So different phases in life, different ages in life, different maturity levels kind of put you in a position where some things that come along in life at 20-something, you can't handle. But at 40-something or 50-something, you're more suited with life experiences to be able to handle it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, Ronald, if you share a little bit, then I'm going to turn it back over to Tammy. I'm the producer of the show, but I'm going to pop off and let her handle the interview as she usually does. But tell us a little bit about where you're from and your thoughts around this whole notion of relationships and all in that space. And is there any hope for somebody that is about to be 61? Hard to believe that I got to say that in July. So 61 is getting ready to come around, and there's no rings on anybody's fingers as of yet. So is there any hope for anybody that is 61, or do I just have to look at a life of permanent singleton?
Is there any hope for somebody at 61? Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness!
Wow. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mark? Can you hear me, Tammy? Can you hear me, Mr. Glazer?
Yeah,
I hear you.
Can you bring Brandy up too, Mark? She's in the
Yes.
back room.
I want to say first and foremost, good afternoon to everyone. My name is Ronald Smoolat, but everybody calls me Smooth. I'm a 47-year-old husband, married, father of 3 and a fur baby. I just recently celebrated in September my 15th wedding anniversary. Me and my wife have been together for 19 years, and
Come on, 15.
there is
Come on, 15. Come on, 15.
there is definitely hope. Brother Mark, there is definitely hope. I represent, and Tammy knows me, and like Brother Irk said, with full transparency, I represent everything that marriage encompasses. I represent everything that you can go through in a marriage and still come out to be successful. I was the guy that was on the other side of the fence. I was the guy that was hanging out, drinking, partying, drugging all night long, and I was blessed to have come into this union with a praying woman, a beautiful wife that had God on her side, that prayed me out of addiction, that prayed me out of fornication, that prayed me into the man that she always knew I could be. And that's the man that's gracing this screen with everybody today. So I say for everybody out there that's going through a struggle, if you are married, it gets greater later, but it only gets greater later when you are married to the person that God intended you to be married to. Man, my mindset, marriage is not hard work. Yes, there is effort that goes into it, but the work only gets hard when both of you all are not on the same accord. So I had 10 years where my marriage was hard as hell. I put my wife through hell for 10 years, and the last 5 years, I can honestly tell you all, it has been nothing but bliss. And all I had to do was get myself right. So yes, there is hope. Brother Mark, just keep your eyes open. God gonna show you, or your higher power gonna show you the signs. You just got to pay attention and take the necessary steps to, walk down that path.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, I'm ready to pop off, turn it over to Tammy. One of the questions I was going to ask Eric before I turn it over and everything is, you mentioned the military and the military background and everything. How important do you think it is to have somebody of a like mind? Because I do know that sometimes the military will marry military. Sometimes folks of like careers will marry folks of like careers, whether that's entertainers marrying entertainers or doctors marrying doctors. And sometimes folks are very much interested in the age range. But I know some May December relationships that have worked out quite well as also. But I was just wondering your thought as to how important it is to have like-minded interests and like-minded backgrounds.
I would say it is extremely important, especially if you're younger. The older you get, I would say more so the less important it becomes, because through life experiences, you're able to adapt more. But I would say that having things in common, or having someone that understands what a day in the service is like, having someone that understands what a day at the office is like, or having someone that understands you, like whatever it is that you bring to the table, you coming from a single mother home versus someone that comes from a married family home that all they know is mom and dad's been married since I was little. They're still married, been married 50 plus years. Being equally yoked in that sense helps a lot of marriages. But I would also say that if you're a little older and more mature, that wouldn't necessarily be a showstopper. It just would give you some grounds of knowing where your spouse or your other half comes from, and you're able to adapt and share with them some of the things that you may have experienced coming from a married home versus some of the things the other person may have experienced coming from a single mother's home.
That makes a lot of sense. Tammy, I'm turning it back over to you, and you have to let folks and remind folks where Brandy's at and where Ronald's at as well. We do know that Mr. Glaze is coming from the DMV, but if y'all need me to pop back in, I'm just back in the back doing that production side and all of that. But definitely get ready to pop back in and turn it back over to you.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, I just want to say thank you first and foremost for being on the Real Girls Rock Show. This is something I have been doing for a very, very long time. And Randy knows this, but I just decided to go and do it on podcast. It was a radio show. So I just really want to just talk about the different walks of life. And there are so many marriages that have been failed, and then there's so many marriages that are successful. So I just want to hear from men and women's point of view. So I do know a lot about Mr. Ronald Lott from the DMV, but we call him AKA Mr. Smooth, and Brandy is in the ATL, and she's married as well. So, just having the different diverse conversations from men and women, we just want to show people that we can get along and that we can have a conversations and agree to disagree. So, Brandy, I know you're just getting on here, but we're talking about marriage talk, the good, bad, and the ugly. And you heard Eric say he's been married 3 times. I was like, wait a minute, did Eric say he was married 3 times? But I like what he said about the ages, because in your 20s you're doing something, in your 30s you're doing something, and in your 40s you're doing something, and I'm in my 50s and I have never been married. So me as a woman, I heard Mark say, like, at 61, am I going to be single forever? How does this work? How, it's great to hear Smoot say he fornicating and he was outside, he was doing all these different things, but something in his wife had him turn around. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good thing. And we want to welcome Mr. Bill Courts too to the screen. So Brandy, share with us how long you've been married. How do you feel about marriage? And is this your first marriage and your only marriage?
Well, good afternoon. I'm Brandy. I have been married to my husband for 12 years. This year in December, we'll celebrate 13 years of marriage. This is my first marriage, and I don't. It's the only one I plan on having. We said till death do us part, so But God, whatever He got in store, I'm on game. But yeah, this is the my first and only marriage. We've been married for 12 years, and like everybody else have said, throughout these years, I've encountered, I know Eric said it was different stages and different ages for him and throughout different marriages, but I think I've experienced that in this marriage for myself. Like for the first few years, it was both of us coming to Christ together. So we were in that blissful stage, newly gave our life to Christ, just, doing everything peacefully and gracefully. And then we went through a rough patch where all hell broke loose. Couldn't see eye to eye. On the brinks of divorce, separation, all that. And I think now we're at a place where we both are growing. We both are deciding to do something different. So that's where I am right now.
Okay, so y'all see we have DeMille that has came in the room. And so I know DeMille personally as well. DeMille, if you could just share a little bit about how long you've been married, your first marriage, your only marriage, the good, the bad, the ugly, and from the beginning to it to where it is now, if you don't mind being transparent, because I do know DeMille's wife as well, and kind of know his story. So when I thought about having marriage talk, I really wanted Ronald to share, and I wanted DeMille to share, because from the men aspect of it, dealing with women, because men and women are not easy to deal with. But being in a marriage, we know that it takes work, even though I haven't been in one. I just want you really to, share, DeMille, what's been going on, and how's marriage for you?
Horrible. Who said this marriage life was great? They lie. It's a trick on y'all. It's horrible. No, I'm DeMille Luther Courts. I've been with my wife. We've been together for 17 years, been married for 10 years. And let's see. Whew, man. If you are not ready to honestly fight for what you love and what you want, and really, Miss Brandy said, me and my wife went into marriage the same way. We don't believe in divorce. Divorce is not an option, even though there's been few times to where we've talked about separation and talked about divorce because time is hard. But if it's really nothing that you can't see yourself coming back from, and you are in love with this person and you love this person and you can with this person, then fight, because everybody gives up. It's the easiest thing to do. We know that. The easiest thing to do is to give up. The hardest thing to do is to forgive, is to fight, and to also look at yourself in the mirror and say, where did I go wrong at? Instead of pointing the finger at the other person saying, why are you wrong? Because a lot of times that's where I grew up at. And you can ask my wife now, she's now in that transition. That is funny. It's supposed to be the women always grow up first. She grew up first in a different aspect. I grew up first in changing how we approach the marriage, address issues, and how we talk to each other, to the point to where there was a time to where I'll have conversations like this and she'll feel like I don't care, or you just don't care about this or this and another. And it's like, well, when I was fussing, yelling, and cussing, and we both was going at it with each other like that, it was I didn't care this and another. But when I've changed, like I can't let you have that side of me, that energy. You can't have that anymore. I need to continue to stay calm because that's my energy. Why would I give that away? I learned that. Where did I go wrong at? Let me talk to myself. Let me figure it out. Then come back to the table. She's now learning, instead of going into a situation to where all cylinders are on go, because as emotional beings, things come out of our mouth we don't really mean, but because we're just in that energy in that moment, it just spews out. So now she's in that point of, yeah, I do need to sometimes step away, think about it, figure out like, okay, where was I wrong at first before I just start pointing fingers at you? Because you know what they say, when you're pointing one finger, it's two other fingers pointing at you. uh, it it's becoming better because there's now conversations instead of ridicules and finger pointing. It's more talking than just arguing now. And it's a beautiful thing. You know, we got 10 years in this, 17 years. If you're just counting 10 years in marriage, 17 years putting together, it's not easy. You got two different beings trying to co as one. She believes in things. I believe in things. Her definitions of things is different from mine, but we can finally come to an understanding that, you know, your feelings, your opinion, your voice matters. It's not always I have to win or you have to win. It literally can come to, you know what? I see your point. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I see it. You know, it's an agree to disagree. And that's another thing that people got to realize too. It's just like, you're not always going to see eye to eye. Nobody ever is going to always see eye to eye, but you always have to figure out how you can talk through it, and then figure out like, hey, you're right and you're on your side, and I feel like I'm right on my side. We don't have to have arguments or anything about it. We're gonna leave it at that. Because the more you argue about it, the more it blows up, the bigger it gets, and it turns into something that was just really a minute thing. And because you stayed on it, it just blew up.
So do you find yourself now being in it 17 years, having conversations and really trying to talk through everything?
No, because now I listen. Before, I used to talk. That's why I said now, with my wife, I had to tell her, like, I will be silent for maybe 24 to 48 hours. It's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's not that I'm that upset at you that I don't want to talk to you. It's that emotions are high. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times people just speak off emotions. They're not speaking off of a calm-headed thought. They're speaking of what's going on right now. And that causes a lot of problems. So I take myself out of the situation now for at least a day or two, just so I can, again, where am I wrong at? Let me see my wrongs first, because again, I'm gonna own up to, like, I now own up, and if I apologize if I cuss, I own up to all my shit. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I'm not gonna say, well, I'm not wrong, so that makes you wrong. I'm just gonna say, like, hey, again, we agree at this point to disagree. You feel a certain, again, those are your feelings. You're supposed to feel the way you're supposed to feel. What you're not supposed to do is let those feelings control you and put you in a situation that you can't get out of, or make you say things that you know you don't really mean, but you say it anyway because, again, you're in those emotions. So for me, and now for my wife, she even said, like, she agrees with that, because she started doing it. She's like, I'll call it the safe word, or safe word is, you know what, we're gonna pause for a couple days. So that's our word for saying, like, hey, I need a day or two to figure out, like, what I did or why we're in this situation, and then we come back to the table and we talk about it instead of arguing about it.
You know what I like what you said, Demille? You said you listen. You said you listen. And I feel like, me being a woman, Brandy might agree with this. Men don't listen to women. I don't know if y'all ever seen that movie by Will Smith called Hitch. Any of y'all seen that movie Hitch?
Yeah.
So when I seen that movie, and even though Will Smith was setting the men up with the women, he said something. Men don't listen to women. And y'all can listen, but y'all don't listen to hear, or y'all don't listen to respond. And so that's the biggest issue that I think that I have had in relationships, was men don't listen. And when you just said that, all we want you to do is listen, but we want you to listen to hear, and we want you to listen to respond. And I like how y'all do the little timeout thing. You know, that's a
It's
good
funny you
thing.
said that.
Y'all not leaving
My
each other.
wife, my, yeah, my wife actually told me that. She told me, she like, you now listen and hear me instead of listen and just trying to respond now. Because again, and in the beginning, she didn't understand why I would, and I told her, I was like, yeah, I need time, you know. And she didn't
Right.
understand it. It literally pissed her off. Like, why are you not not to where it's like I'm not just not talking to you. It'd be like, hey, how you doing? And this and that and other. But it got to her to where it's like, why are you not talking to me? It's like I need to sort all of this out, because if you keep the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different results. We've been having the same conversation over and over and over again, expecting different results. And finally, I was like, somebody got to do something different. And it wasn't just listening that needed to be different. It also needed to be, I needed to listen without trying to respond to her, and also trying to be save everything and also let her figure things out on her own as well. Because as men, like you said, we don't listen, but what we always want to do is we want to try to save everything. Sometimes we do have to step back and be like, you know what? This time you got this. The
The devil don't want me to be great today. The devil don't want me to be great today. I don't know why the devil don't want me to be great today, but I'm
No,
gonna
you
tell
still
you.
being great. You still got all kinds of great conversation, and we're gonna keep this conversation going and everything. Because I'm gonna pop in and just ask something that I was hearing what the gentleman was saying, and I don't know if we're gonna get him back on and everything. But I'd love to hear from both Ronald and Eric, and I do see that the other gentleman is coming back as well. Because one of the things I heard both of y'all talking about, and I was just wondering, because as one that has had friends that have gone through that whole divorce process, we do know that communications is one of the main things that gets in the way of relationships. So how important is it for us to have that communication, and for the communication to be a two-way communications? And also, Gerald, I heard you earlier talking about the whole notion of space, and I was just wondering how you manage to do that, because I know that a lot of times folks will talk about the man cave, but I also know that women have their escape spaces as well. So I was just wondering how important is that. So I'd love to hear all of y'all's comments on that, the notion of communications and the notion of space.
Hey,
Camille,
real
you can
quick,
go first.
what's the channel on Roku? I'm trying to find it.
Pod TV Live.
Pod TV. Pod TV Live. Let's just go to that. Thank you.
No problem. And your thoughts, Mr. Daryl, about the space and communications, and also the importance of communication. I'd love to hear from Brandy as well.
So
Okay, I don't know if we're going in any particular
communication is big, and
order.
communicate. Oh, ladies first. Go right ahead, Miss Brandy.
Yeah, go ahead, Brandy.
Communication to me is a really big thing, and I love everything that Mr. DeMille was saying. Everybody basically saying about communication. Um, as a psychology major and a mental health therapist, I work with clients every day about like communication styles, being assertive, speaking up for yourself, learning how to actively listen, because people don't realize that learning to actively listen, to understand, to hear, not just to respond or prepare your quickest rebuttal to what is being said. I suffer from like I'm in therapy every day teaching people how to do this skill, but then in my relationship, it's like no, I got to be quick on my response. So I had to take a page from my own book and really just dive deep into like learning to hear, to understand, hear, to care about the person that I'm in this journey with, on this really basically this job, because it's every day is a fight to stay married, and it's a fight to grow and be different, and just it's a fight. So we in this together. But it was a real big thing, and it's like recently we have grown in our communicating style. And that was a big issue early on when hell was breaking loose in our relationship. It was like I would say things and he wouldn't, I would think that he heard me because he looking and he's responding. But then when situations arise with the things that I said, I don't see a difference. So you obviously didn't hear me. So in my response, I started to not wanting to hear what he said to me. So things that he would need and that I would know, I wouldn't give it because you wasn't giving it to me. And it was just those tick for tack things, the miscommunication things that just like uh brought in situations that were probably unnecessary and probably wouldn't have happened had we actively listened to each other and listened and communicated to hear and understand versus just okay and keep going. And so like now it's like a ritual. We check in daily and we set out time to like hear one another. Like I want to know because so much going on with like mental health and men not communicating. I want you to over communicate to me how you're feeling, how you doing, what's going on in your head, what's bothering you. Like if you could put your mental health on a spectrum or things that you're going through mentally, like put a number on it. Let's see how close you are from 10 to 1, and let's talk about what we could do to like bring some balance in there. So yeah, definitely I always tell my friends that are looking to get married, if you're not ready to work on your communicating style, if you're not ready to fight every day, not physically with your hands, but I'm talking about a different type of fight. We don't have to get into that right now, but if you're not ready to fight every day, keep going with your single life.
So let me ask this: do you guys do guy trips and girl trips?
So are you asking in general?
Yeah,
Just
like
in
so. Do
general?
you? So is it okay for you to be able to go on a guy's trip without your wife? Like, of course, it's not with your
We're
wife.
working. We're working on that
So,
now. We're. Go ahead, Sis Faye. I'm sorry.
so what? So you're working on that. Is there insecurity from you or from her?
So there's an insecurity from before we were married. Um, so we're getting to the point to where now it's a fresh start because in a marriage, you can't go backwards. It's got to continue to go forward. And a lot of our arguments will be something that was minute, really small, but it would send her backwards from some things that I did before we got married. And then, stupid things of arguments and acting on things that I've done, later on. Um, but it turned into I always got to be by her side. She always got to be by my side. I couldn't. It would be a problem if I said like, "Hey, I'm gonna kick it with my boys or whatever." Not. It wouldn't be. It'd be a problem like huffing and puffing because not that it's automatically sending her back to the things that happened before we got married. It's she really did not want me to leave her side, and that stems from things that she's told me even before me of why she's like that, and that's not my story to tell. But because we have that communication now, I now know that a lot of the the uh the attachment issues to where I was, not with her for certain times, or I didn't call her, throughout the day or things like that. Now that we're having that communication, now I understand why she felt like that, and it wasn't just me that put that on. I added to a situation that was before me. I added two problems that was before me, and it stuck with me. And that's when she says, if you're not ready to fight, that was my fight. I know what I did to put her in the situation that where she was in, but I didn't know how much I had added to what was before me. And then it was like, this got to be a release off of you because you didn't tell me any of this. Now I understand why, when I say, hey, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go kick it, or if I didn't call you, like I've been out in the streets all day, training people and this, that, and other, and I haven't called you for hours on hours. I understand these things now because now we communicate. So now she's even told me like, I need you to have your guy time now. Because again, what I said in the beginning was you have to put yourself where am I wrong at? Where she realized this is out of her mouth, not mine. She's like, I realized I was treating you like a child and not my husband. And I said, God damn.
Wow, that is strong right there. That and see,
And that was a big breakthrough.
that takes a grown woman to say that.
Yeah.
That takes a grown woman to say that. So Smooth, we gonna go over to you. How is your wife dealing with you? Do you do guy trips? Is Smooth frozen, y'all?
No, I don't do guy trips.
Why you don't do guy
Yeah,
trips?
I don't do guy trips. All my friends single. I got maybe 2 friends that's married. All my friends. See, here's the thing. That's what got me into a lot of the situations that I got into. Right? That's what got me into. You know, I'm married, but everybody in my circle single. So I'm moving as a single man would move. And I've been there, done that. I don't necessarily need to. I've been through so much in my marriage, and I told my wife this. Nothing on one of our anniversaries, maybe about 2 years ago. I said, nothing I can do for you monetarily will repay you for who you were and what you were to me at times when you shouldn't have been. So the only thing that I want to do right now moving forward is be everything to and for my wife that she's been to and for me. I done everything, Tammy. I don't need to take a trip away. I don't need to go nowhere. I'm good. All I want to be is a husband and the best father I could be. You know what I'm saying? I look back, I look at me now versus how I was 10 years ago, and I would laugh and joke and talk about a brother living the way I'm living now. You know what I'm saying? But life is pretty fair for a square. You know what I'm saying? And I'm wearing that with a badge of honor. It's not a negative connotation. You know what I'm saying? Oftentimes we take on the identity or the role or the responsibility of the people that we, you know, encompassed around or that's in our circle. And I did that, you know, so I allow my wife to be who she is because nothing about her has changed. My wife has been who she was since the day we got married. What has changed is I changed. So once I changed, now I can give her the life that she's always deserving, the life that she was waiting for, because she knew that I was the man that could provide that for her. You know what I'm saying? So I just had to know that, realize that, respect it, and understand it. So, you know, I'm good with the guy trip, man. I'm good with him, but my wife is wherever the hell she want to go. I'm good.
Smooth said, is he good with the guy trips? Okay, Eric, we're going to bring it back to you. Eric, being married 3 times, and I heard Mark say was 3 the charm. How is your wife now? Is she okay with you going to the cigar lounge? Because I know that's what guys are doing now, going to the pool hall, just hanging out or just taking a trip. You know, my cousin just came out here on a boys' trip. His boy, it was his birthday, 2 of them. And the wife actually got the Airbnb for him, paid for everything to make sure that her husband and I think it was like 12 guys had a good time. So are you in a marriage where you can go out, or are you like Smooth? You don't want to go out with the guys.
You also got to know who you're going on these trips with too. It's just like Smooth said, you know, not to cut in, but if you're gonna go on a trip, know who the dude that you like. No, I'm not going because I know how this is going to end. I know how this person act. I'm cool. You got to know yourself. You got to know yourself. You know that one dude that gets you in trouble. Leave him out.
Got you. Okay, Eric, what you think?
I'll attack it from a different angle. My wife and I do have nights out or days out. You know, she may spend the day shopping with her girlfriends. I may go play golf with some of my Army buddies. But what I will tell you is I like taking my sand to the beach. I don't want to go to the beach and look at no other sand. So when I'm going somewhere, I'm putting my sand in my toes in the sand. I'm taking my sand with me.
Yes, sir.
Not to say that I couldn't take a guy's trip, but who want to? I don't want to. I don't want to be around a bunch of hard legs all day. I want to bring my sand where I'm going. So what we'll end up doing is when we have something where we want to do something like that, make it a family trip. You know, might invite our in-laws or my sister-in-law or her husband or our nieces, nephews, whatever. But I enjoy traveling with my family, but we do take our day job. I think self-care is so important. You have to have some time for you to take care of yourself. And sometimes that may be hanging with somebody else. It may be hanging with yourself. But it's impossible for you to give your best if you're not taking the best care of yourself. And you can't do that if you're always just simply taking care of everybody else. So it's a nice little fine line of balance between the two. But I'm a firm believer that you have to have a lot of self-care to be able to be the best husband that you can be, to be the best father that you can be, to be the best friend that you can be. You got to take the best care of yourself. And sometimes that requires you to go work out by yourself, you know? But yeah, trips are fine. Trips are fine, but I find them almost unnecessary if I can't take my Sam with me.
I totally agree. So, Brandy, what about you? Are we turning up? What's going on? What's good? Are we turning up? Because it's different for women.
Listen, every year I go on this retreat in August. It's August 17th through the 20th this year. I already done books, paid, booked my rental car, everything's already, it's in motion. And I don't think my husband have a problem with me going to that particular trip.
Because
It's
that's
with my
church.
friend.
That's
It's my
church.
friend that's a pastor.
That's church.
retreat.
What church mean?
But
Never mind. Different conversation.
whenever I mention if I'm gonna go to like next state or something, if I with a friend or something, he probably won't mind it. But if I'm thinking about going anywhere out of this country, he is gonna go. I went to a bridal shower, quote unquote, party in Mexico, and he was the only man there, acting like he's security. And so I don't necessarily have a problem with him doing a guy's trip early on. His friends did not prove themselves worthy or him going along with them in just some inappropriate things. So that kind of was a hope for a long time. And it's like and it wasn't necessary like I'm trying to control you, but I'm trying to help you realize that if you choosing, because marriage is a choice, if you choosing to live a married man's life, there are certain things that you just cannot do as a married man, and that your single friends are free to do. I'm talking about free to do, unlimitless. But so he didn't really understand early on. So now he kind of understands. So now it's like I'm telling him like it's cool for you to like go on a guy's trip, and he went on one recently. And I think it was the thing that I didn't really know his friends. Like those are his friends from high school, and all they could remember was him from high school when he was a bachelor, and when he was single, he was out here able to do and move freely like them. But it took some time for him to realize the things that I would tell him, like you got to have boundaries, and you can be friends with single people as a married man. You can, I mean, because who else could they look up to? But you have to have certain boundaries in place with your friends where they'll know at 3:00 in the morning they're not sending you pictures of women that they meeting in the club. They will understand and know like it's certain things that you cannot, or not that you can't do, that you should not be doing or don't desire to do, just out of respect for your marriage. So it took us some time to get to that thing right there. So right now today, like I don't have an issue with him going on any guys trips. He don't have an issue with me going on any girls trips, but most of the times we just do group trips. And a lot of my friends are married and are in relationships. So he friends with their husbands and their significant others. So we do group trips.
Well, that's
Or
good.
family trips.
Yeah, that's good. So, do you guys do date night? How important is it to do a date night with each other?
Very.
Like, is that important
It's
in a
vital.
marriage? It's vital. Because I know I have some people that do date night once a week. So do you make sure that you take time out the meal to have date night? Do you date your wife still today?
So funny story. I think we've been in Georgia. It's going to be 5 years now. I think the first year we moved down here, we was going to this restaurant called Wasabi. It's a segue into the question that you asked me. And it was always packed. So one day we realized that, wait a minute, we grown. We can just go to the bar and sit at the bar. Why do we keep waiting in this line? Segue into, is it important to have date night? Yes, it is important to have date night, but don't put date night always on a specific day, especially on the weekends. And I'm going to tell you why. Me and my wife are now just learning this last week. So again, because we're talking now, we're having these conversations. We would always say, we're going to go out this weekend. We're going out this weekend. We're going out this weekend. Well, we got kids who work. You know, my oldest just got her car. So it was, well, we got to drop this one off in the morning. Then we got to turn around and drop this one off in the afternoon. The week beat us up to where we just like, man, we just want to chill. So it was Monday of last week. I had a client, drove past Chicago East Pizza. I seen it wasn't packed. After my client came back, I said, get dressed. She's like, where are we going? I said, just get dressed. We going out. So I'm now learning, if you want to do something, yes, plan what you want to plan if it's a planning thing, but if you want to do something, just get up and do it. Because the old me would have been seeing that and saying, hey, we're going to go to Chicago Pizza this weekend, and never go because we keep saying that. The new me, because now it's like, we're grown. We don't have to wait until the weekend, because I know what time I work tomorrow morning. You know what time you work tomorrow morning. We know what time we got to be back at the house to make sure we get a good night's sleep to go to work tomorrow morning. Stop waiting till the weekends to do things, and have spontaneous dates throughout the week, because that weekend's not going to happen. At 90% of the time, that weekend's not going to happen. So yes, I still date my wife, but now I date my wife spontaneously, because again, and it's both ways. It's not just me saying, hey, get dressed. She's now saying like, hey, I want to take you here. Let's go. So it's not just me doing it. We're both doing it as well.
Hey, Tammy, if I can jump in really quickly. I had a quick question to ask Dale, Brandy, and Eric really quickly and everything. Because one thing that I remember, my aunt and uncle are passed away and all of that. They passed away not that long ago. But I do remember that my uncle was known as almost the mayor of Harris Teeter, because he would definitely go to Harris Teeter and he would definitely get on a little bit of his flirt on with some of the cashiers and everything at that particular store and everything. So how important is it to allow a little bit of friendly flirtation in the relationships in marriage? Because there are times that you will go out and you will be at a particular restaurant and your significant other, I know that my aunt knew about that. They actually made jokes about it, as did my mother, her sister and everything. But how important is it to allow that little bit of flirtation? Because we do know that there are people that are naturally flirtatious, and sometimes they do it in those public environments and everything. So I just wanted y'all's take on that, because like I said, they were happily married and were married for probably over 40 or 30, 50 years or something in that space. So how important is it to allow those quote unquote innocent flirtations?
You got to know who your partner is. So my wife in the beginning had a very big problem with me, because my personality to her is flirtatious. And it's like, I'm not flirting at all. This is just me. This is just how I act. And it's not like I'm saying, hey, cutie, how you doing in front of her and this and that and another. It's just my personality is just always been inviting. You know, I'm a hugger. You know, I'm a smiler. You know what I'm saying? I might pick you on the cheek, this and that and other. It's not a flirt. I'm not going to be like, ooh, like, damn, this and that and other. I might say, ooh, wow, you're beautiful today, or you look good, you know, things that and other. But in the beginning, because that's just my personality, man, my wife, that was an argument all the time. Like, why that waitress only gave us a discount because you flirted with. I'm like, I'm not flirting. This is how I am.
So y'all would actually get into it while the waitress was like, while
no,
y'all was
not,
still in the
not
restaurant?
funny. Not funny.
Okay,
No,
okay.
no. It'd be we in the car. It's funny because we just see the TikTok where this guy was trying on the shirt, and the lady was like, "Oh, that should look good on you," and he was like, "Oh, well, thank you." And the whole day she was like, "Oh, well, thank you. Oh, well, thank you." Every time he did something, and that's literally in the beginning how she was, and then she had to realize like, oh, that's not something that you cut on and cut off. That's literally you. And you're not disrespectfully flirting with females. And she don't even call it flirting anymore. She now knows like, okay, that's you. And it's not flirting like I'm trying to holler at you or this and that and other. It's just I will joke with you right there.
That's just your personality.
And she
that's
had to, and again, that's why I said you got to know who your
partner,
your partner is.
Yes.
Because if they only do that every now and then you're gonna be like, yeah, you flirting. That's you flirting. But me, it's just that's always me. So then she had to realize like, oh yeah, because again, before me, there was somebody else who probably had that and did that, and then years, and I'm not talking months. This was years that she had to realize, oh no, that really is just you. You just
So
act like
so
that.
so you know what I'm learning too about relationships. Being in a marriage, because this was your first marriage, Brandy. DeMille, this was your first marriage. And Eric, this is your third marriage. You know that women have baggage and men have baggage. You are carrying that baggage as well, because sometimes people don't take time to heal, and that's what I'm learning in this season. That's why it's always good, I think, now for you to be friends and I had to learn this at 50. Like, I'm not sleeping with you for 90 days. We just gonna be friends. I might not even decide to sleep with you after 90 days,
Courting
because
is what they
when
call
we
it.
get the sex involved, we get the emotional attachment as women. So when you take the sex out of it and you really start getting to know a person, you be like, oh, I could deal with him. I could really deal with her, because there's no attachment and it's a genuine evolve. So I think that being friends with your wife, being friends with your wife, being friends with your wife is important for you all. Even though you are married now, right now, it's still important for you to be her friend, because I hear people, I don't know if DeMille or Eric, you feel like this, like, my wife is my best friend. I want my husband, when I get one, if I get one, to say that's my best friend. Like, because that anything that is going on, you can always count on them. Not just because you're married, because that's my friend. And I feel like a lot of people, when they get in marriages, they really don't know each other. And that's how I feel like a lot of things come and they end in divorce, because, like I heard all of you say, divorce was not an option except for Eric. I can't believe Eric been married 3 times, but it seems like now the third time around, you got to try it a couple times to see if you get it right. And like you said, when you start young, I wonder if I would have got married at your age, Eric, would I still be married right now? And I'm 52. So, that's why I just think that it's important for us to have conversations like this, because it could be somebody out there that can hear DeMille and their wife could be doing the same thing, but by hearing what DeMille is saying, oh my God, that's it. Okay, okay, Brandy. Okay, Eric. So, Eric, for you, the same thing I asked DeMille, like, how do you feel about, this communication and just talking, and what Mark said
Well,
about the dates?
yeah, the date. Um, I think it's important for you to always make time for each other. Like he mentioned Harris Teeter, but it can just be a trip to the grocery store, doing things together. I have this thing I told my wife when we were dating. I say I want somebody just to be my number one cheerleader, because if I'm loving on you, I'm gonna be your number one cheerleader. And whatever it is that you feeling down about or getting ready to go through, I'm gonna be the one to pump you up, motivate you, and push you to get to whatever limit is you're trying to get to. And I expect the same in return. As with the flirting or the compliments, I think if you haven't started them at home, what you doing offering them somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm the same type. I have an outgoing personality. I'm kind of people.
And you're right. It's not that I'm not offering them at home. It's just how it's.
No.
So let me ask you this, Eric.
No, I'm saying you're right with what you're saying. You're 100% right with what you're saying. If you're not doing it at home, you damn sure shouldn't be doing it out.
DeMille, do you buy flowers just because? Eric, do you buy flowers just because? Do you buy candy or just sweet nothings? Do y'all buy stuff just because? If she like a Heath bar, do you buy a Heath bar just because I was thinking about you today? Not nothing extravagant. You still do that. So DeMille, tell me something that you bought your wife just out of. It's Tuesday.
You said what?
Tell me something you bought your wife just because it's Tuesday. I just bought it because it's Tuesday.
Lunch. Go up to her job, because I know Monday through Wednesdays, it's her lighter days, and I can go up there and eat lunch with her without, patience or anything being in front of her face. Or, if I know she's gonna have a long day, I make sure that things are done or pre-prepped, at the house. I'm not always in, I'm always in and out, But if I can get things started, you know, it's the thing. My candles. And her candles. Sorry, she's in the background. Y'all can't see her. You get me candles. My bad.
See, that's the thing that she's there for. See, that's what women do. Like, see how your wife is like, let me tell you, boy, let them know you give me some candles. See, thank you, wifey.
You
See,
can
that's
never go
what the
wrong with the
wifey.
candles. That's why
That's
she
what
wants to watch to make sure I'm saying things right.
that's why the wifey is supposed to be there. So, Brandy, what about you? Does your husband give you stuff, or do you give him stuff? Just on GP.
Well, yeah. I've always been a giver. So, and that's one thing that my husband is as well. So he always, like, if he going out to the store or something, in which now I'm more like health conscious. So it's like he go to the store unconsciously and bring me back chocolate. Like, one thing that my kids and my family know, like, oh, if she frustrated, she gonna want chocolate. So, oh, let's get her some chocolate. Keep chocolate on around so she won't be. So when he go out, he'll bring me something back from the store, or like, I'm creating a quote unquote woman cave, but it's like my quiet room, my meditation room. And he know that I like green, so he ordered me some green chairs in there, like little stuff that he just think that I might like. He ordered it for me, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. He ordered some stuff, but yeah, he's real big on that, and I do the same for him. I know how he loves gadget, shoes, all the kind of men stuff, and like he got his man cave in the basement, so like I went and surprised him and got him like some bar stools and like little different things like that. So I'm always looking for ways to like just surprise him, and he do the same for me. But back to this question, when Demille said he have that kind of character or personality where it's like automatically friendly, like it might come off as flirting, but it's just a friendly personality. And that's how, you know, that's how Mark is. And I've never been like a jealous female, so like we don't have like that kind of friction. If I feel like, oh, he being friendly or something like that, if I feel like it's a flirting, I'll be like, oh, y'all flirting? I said, what y'all doing? Y'all flirting? Y'all cute.
And Brandy, I know you too well. I know that you do. So
You know I said.
I know you do. So, you know, I just want to say thank you, Demille. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Eric, for coming on the Real Girls Rock show. You know, I'm really grateful. I want you guys to come back. You know, I do this every Tuesday. And, you know, we just really want to touch on different topics. And, you know, I knew that marriage was a good topic, especially from different people, because I knew some of the things that were going on with Demille. And, you know, I have actually watched Demille post himself, and now I see him post his wife. So when I was asking for pictures, y'all, for the podcast Fire, Demille sent me a picture of him and his wife. I said, I'm not even gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna ask him for some more pictures.
Because I
But
listen.
see, that's what I can tell is different about him. He's in a different love space in his marriage, and I always would tell him, because Demille is a trainer, and I worked out with Demille. He used to kick my butt, so I don't even want to work out with him no more. But he's great. I know how much he loved his wife, and when you see that, I'm so glad that you, Demille, decided to fight for your marriage, because me and Demille would be at the gym at 6 a.m. and he's talking about his wife, you know, and that made me feel confident, because we know as women how some trainers are with women. But me and Demille was never like that, because he's not that type of person. He was really trying to save his marriage and save his family. And I just want to say that I really appreciate you, Demille, for not giving up, for still sticking in there and being a great husband, a great father, and a great friend. And, you know, just making the world a better place, because when you hear different you know, thoughts from men, it make you think as a woman, like, wow, he really serious about this. You know, I haven't never known Demille to go cheat, and I hung out with Demille a lot, so that's why I'm like, Demille's a cool guy. What in the heck is he doing at home? You know, but like you said, men got to take the time, and women, to listen and be friends. And I just can, you know, hope that this third charm right here, Mr. Glaze, works out for you. You guys continue to date your wives, continue to be their friends, and continue to listen to us. Even though we talk a lot, continue to listen to us, because it's definitely going to make a long lasting marriage. And y'all already have inspired me just by Eric not even knowing you being transparent to come on a podcast and talk about being married 3 times. That just
Right.
speaks of who your character is already, and being transparent. And that's what I like about our show. We keep it really real. So hopefully that we can have you guys on here again. And I want you guys, I'm gonna start with DeMille. DeMille, tell people what you're doing, where they can find you at, and then we're gonna go to Eric, and then we're gonna go to Brandy, then we're gonna close.
Absolutely. Before I do that, last thing, also with that communication, you have to be able to accept criticism. My wife is not accepting that. She asked me a question 4 years ago. We're not going to get into it. And she finally told me that I've been punishing you for what you told me 4 years ago, and I'm just now getting over it.
Wow.
They always tell you trust and communication is key in your marriage. When you get that trust and that communication, you have to be able to accept that criticism and not punish that other person for being true for what you asked them. And it works both ways. So with that being said, DeMille Luther Courts, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok at DeMille Courts. I am an actor and a model. I'm currently in a show called Life is Like a Movie that we're in production. Getting ready for another production called You're Hired. I was just casted not too long ago in a BET special not a BET special, but a BET Plus show as well. And I'm continuing to get more roles. And I'm also a fitness enthusiast. I'm a personal trainer. I train people here all over in Atlanta. And I genuinely want to see people succeed and help people reach the goal that they want to see themselves reach. Men, women, child, everyone.
Awesome. DeMille Luther Courts, Pusha T, as I know him. All right, Mr. Glaze, Mr. Glaze, Mr. Glaze.
Yeah, if I could offer one word to everybody, if you're considering getting married or if you are married, just make sure you marry someone that's willing to fight for you. And when I say that, I have a bishop at my church that I've been going to for the past 30 years. And his phrase is, my wife and I have not had a perfect marriage. It's just that every time that she wanted to quit, I wouldn't let her quit. And every time I wanted to quit, she wouldn't let me quit. So I would just say, be with somebody that's not going to allow you to make the biggest mistake of their life, which is letting you go. Because I'm a firm believer that we're all good by ourselves, but we can be great with the right mate.
Y'all see it do the rhyme? Be great with the right mate. Come on, E.
I'm here in the DMV, but I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. Like you, Tammy.
Ohio over here. Okay.
Rink when we were children. And I was telling my wife earlier that I was going to be on the podcast. But my thing is, I think for a marriage to be successful, you have to have somebody that has your back. Even when it seems like you don't have your own back, you need somebody that's going to power you up to keep you going, to keep you pushing. Because like you say, the easiest thing to do is to quit. The hard work comes in is to stay, pray, fight for each other, and stick in there when someone else may be feeling like giving up. And that's where I say the difference between being married in my 20s and married in my 30s to being married in my 50s. Being able to get past things, work your way through things, be patient, and be able to cheer one another on to get through different situations and don't give up. And I think the producer that's in the background, it's never too late. It's never too late. Keep going to Harris Teeter or wherever it is and bump carts into somebody. You may
listen to you bump carts. That is Mr. Mark. I love Mr. Mark, y'all. So, okay, Brandy, we're going to end with you. Thank you so much, Mr. Glaze, for coming in on today, and you as well, Mr. Courts.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I want to second everything that they said, and especially everything that Eric said. Like, that's one thing that I'm always attaching something biblical to our relationship, because that's the third person in our relationship is God.
Amen.
And 1 Timothy 6:12 it talks about fighting a good fight of faith. just increasing your faith in one another, in your marriage, your belief in that, hey, we both signed up to do this thing called work, marriage, quote unquote, together. And we're gonna face trials, we're gonna face tribulations, we're gonna face situations, but as long as you're doing it together, I think you can come out of anything. I can't even, I don't have the time or the space right now to just go into all the things that we've came out of through fighting the good fight of faith. So I know that it does work. And God created us to be helpers of one another. So you're right, sticking together, doing this thing together, having each other's back, supporting one another through thick and thin, up and down. Marriage can be beautiful and blissful and successful. And like you said, it's never too late. Once you connect with God, He can lead the right person to you and lead you to the right person. So yeah. I can be found on Instagram, Meet Miss Robinson, Brandy Lawrence Robinson on Facebook. I do, as I stated before, mental health, community work. I teach different types of coping skills, grief, marriage, anything in life. I teach an array of coping skills. Children, adults, singleship, marriagehood, motherhood, fatherhood. It's always a skill to learn to become a better you. And I'm on this journey, and I'm partnering with you, Tammy. We talked about it before, of this self-love, self-care. I do a workshop and a challenge. It's a 4-week thing for just self-reflecting, self-awareness, self-love, and self-care. Just learning to build that better relationship with yourself so that you can be better for the ones that you love. Thank you for allowing me to come on here and share my gift with the world.
Thank you as well. You guys have an amazing Tuesday, and thank you all for coming on. And hopefully, we'll get you back here soon on the Real Girls Rock Show. Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Y'all take care.
So, ladies and gentlemen, another Tuesday here at the Real Girls Rock Show. I'm super grateful that this has been an amazing Tuesday for me. So guess what? We will be right back here next Tuesday with your girl Tammy Faye. And I'm super excited. You know, you can catch me all things Tammy Faye, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything. And don't forget, your health is your wealth. If you need some products, I have some products. If you need to get into this cannabis industry, you can get into that as well. Don't remember, justoutbar.com. Justoutbar.com. You can go shop and use code LOVE, love. Yes, we talking about love, and get 35% off. Thank you so much, Mr. Mark, for hopping in and saving the day as always. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody that has your back, make sure that you appreciate them and you tell them thank you, and you give them flowers on today. I wasn't feeling my best, and I'm still not feeling my best, but I pushed through because I am not a quitter. Won't stop, can't stop. You guys enjoy the rest of your Real Girls Rock Tuesday, and I will see you here next week. Goodbye. Have a good day. Hey, if you are interested in building your brand on the Real Girls Rock podcast, yes, you heard me, we will be featured on the Roku channel every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going down, y'all. Real Girls Rock is back like it never left. Please hit us up, email us, call us. We can't wait to have you on the show as well as a guest. Every Tuesday is going down. Rock Tuesday.
Girls rock, yeah. It's Tuesday once again, and we thank you for tuning in.
1, 2, 3.
Hey,